This is exciting. Is Brendan going to be in it, or does he show up?
I mean, it's kind of like everything. He just if people show up, my wife might show up at some point.
Oh my goodness.
She's like, why are you doing a podcast here? I'm like,
Why not?
why wouldn't we do a podcast?
Yeah.
I'm like, Tony and I have been talking about this for months, literally. I go, so we got to do it. I'm like, we're in the same location. We don't have any Little League stuff to do.
Right.
There's no brewery business that you got to do.
This is such a great sound.
Yeah, let's.
It reminds me of the Saturday Night Live skit, Sweaty Balls. It's very compressed.
It is.
It is. It comes out pretty well.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of an echo in here from the walls and everything.
Yeah.
The pop filter there is new.
What's that?
What's that? Yeah.
Anytime you have what they call plosives, P's and S's and things like that, it kind of cuts down on it. And any noise, any wind that's coming across it. The mics are pretty sensitive. They're not the most sensitive I have. These are kind of designed. These are dynamic mics. If you get a condenser mic, man, that thing that would be picking up like every blade hitting the air in the room here. Those are pretty cool, but they're you have to send what's called phantom power to it, 48 volts. And so it powers the microphone, and it's got a very sensitive diaphragm that picks up every little noise. So this is definitely not as sensitive, and you can eliminate a lot of the background noise. And
if and when I fart, will it pick it up, or?
It probably will. It probably will. And then I have, I used to have some processors. So for a while there, I was doing 2 podcasts a week. Was part of like my job, and we interviewed the president of the United States, a bunch of senators, Congress people, lot of high profile guests, and so we had to step up our game, and we got these processors, and it eliminates all the background noise and really gives a really nice life to every sound that comes through the microphone.
Yeah, they must be expensive.
It wasn't too bad. Luckily, I had a budget that wasn't coming out of my money, so my employer at the time was paying for it. So normally we start off, we can say that we're broadcasting live from the Paloma, the beautiful resort here in Cathedral City, California. Cathedral City, I think it's kind of a cool city name.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. I need to know the story behind it. We'll have to get Aaron Whitfield here to give us the history.
Kind of reminds me of Paradise City.
Yeah.
Surprise. Guns N' Roses didn't make a good song about Cathedral City.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cathedral doesn't really rhyme with much stuff. So.
Take me down to Cathedral City.
Where the pool is a little murky right now.
And has lots of chlorine.
It's not as bad as last year. Last year it was
Less
resembling
people, less
dairy
milk.
products by the end of the weekend.
Yeah.
I took some of that pool water last year and made some great pizza dough out of it. It was active.
Sorry, I'm a little nauseous there. So we are joined here by the Dellamanos, Tony Dellamano and Quarter Dellamano.
Hey.
And Quarter, you have an interesting place in like the history of Solana Beach. You're kind of like the Prince of Wales. You're the heir apparent to the Culture Brewing legacy. Is that a lot of responsibility?
It's just all about hospitality, to be honest. You have to like greet guests when they come in, and as long as you do that, there's not much that comes with it. Like if you just put that extra word in to say hi, and if you know them and have a good conversation with them, then they'll definitely come back.
Is that hard for you, or do you come by that naturally? Or because I think a lot of kids of your generation, it's hard to be able to, and I'm not trying to paint them with a broad brush, but
Yeah.
You had to go through COVID, you had to go through school during COVID. I feel like that was some formative years where you're interacting with teachers and students, and I think some people have a hard time looking someone in the eye, shaking their hand, calling them Mr. or Mrs., saying thank you, things like that. To me, and knowing you for a few years now, it seems like that's a skill that you've had naturally, or do you have to work at it?
I used to do acting like a few years ago.
So you're faking it. No, I'm just kidding, Quarter.
But it kind of comes naturally, but I just like just talking with people, seeing like where they're from, like what they're just like, yeah, like just talking with them basically. I really think that I get it from my dad, even though he always talks about how in college he was really scared of talking in front of crowds, but then he got over it. But I just thought that I pretty much just got it from my dad, just my natural ability to just like start a conversation with people.
Now, I've seen you at work, working hard at a young age and just really putting in the effort. So I do applaud you that you're able to do this. And is it something you enjoy? Do you look at it as work, or is it just you get a chance to spend time with your parents and help them out?
Well, I have this really good friend, Ethan, who like just he's usually there at Culture, and let's say that we're talking about tri-tip. I love working on the tri-tip because I'm always there with him, and he just treats me like one of his friends, instead of like wanna like just being short with me and then acting like I'm not cool, like not like one of the older people would do.
Do you think that's because of the effort you put into it, or is it part of his personality, or a little mixture of both?
I think it's definitely part of his personality and definitely mine too, because as we were saying earlier, I kind of start conversations. But I think that it's definitely part of his personality too, because like like what I was saying earlier, he just stands out in like a crowd of people his same age, because most people would just like not even talk to me basically and just like be short with me because they don't think that like I'm cool basically.
Yeah, I know a lot of adults that they look at kids as kids, and you kind of get treated like that. But if you put in the effort and you show the maturity, I think they treat you more as an equal. And I'm going to explain. We started recording a few minutes ago. I want to explain. Tony Dellamano, the principal. Hey, what would you explain your role? Principal owner of Culture Brewing?
Yeah, I'd say that. Technically, I'm the CEO as well. So
Okay,
those two.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
That's
Captain
a good,
Beer,
That's a good title.
self-proclaimed.
So-
When you're the principal.
Yeah, you're coming up on a year since you guys have taken over, and I'm sure for the dozen of people that are listening to this, most of them have probably been to Culture because it's a Solana Beach staple. It's been there since 2012, and you guys have been there for about a year now. What was the motivation? Where was this idea born, and what made you think, okay, this is the direction I'm going now?
Yeah, great question. Personally, been in hospitality and restaurants for, close to 30 years at this point. Restaurants mostly. And the last 5 or 10 years, we've been looking at acquiring something that we could own and grow. So Culture, Shawn, it started when I saw you there playing with Keegan and
I still
and
can't
Brendan.
believe that story.
Yeah, very true.
It blows my mind. And I was probably so sleep deprived because I think Brendan was probably very little at that point.
He had to be 4, probably.
Yeah.
No, maybe 5. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to remember that, I'm shocked.
Yeah, it was a special moment. I saw you and thought you were a cool dad playing with his kids at this great local brewery, and I said I could be that guy and raise my family in Solana Beach. And about 2 years ago, the opportunity, we met the current owners, or the prior owners. It's so hard for me to say that, at Culture Brewing. They're local Solana Beach people. kind of approached them and said, hey, if you're ever looking to sell, we might be interested. And that started it. And it was really diving into the business and seeing if it would be a good acquisition. And it's been great. It's been a smooth sailing so far.
It's funny to me too, because I look back and it's not like I went to Culture as often as I do now previously. So
Great.
it was kind of exciting to me to hear that story and to think, I'm like, okay, my wife must have been in the mood to get out of the house, and maybe the kids were driving her nuts, and she's like, let's go down there and let you play cornhole with with the kids, because I try to get there as often as I can, but life is busy. So I do want to say I'm a little hurt when you told me that you were buying Culture. I was transitioning career wise and was just being able to tap into my retirement fund. That you didn't come to me and say, let's buy all these guys out.
I remember the moment that I told you, because it was an awkward stage. I had this deal working, and I was so excited about it. And then I have a handful of close friends, one of which is you. And when I finally told you that we were probably going to buy it, I remember the look on your face. It was almost like, I didn't know if you wanted to punch me
No,
or hug me,
no.
or...
I was super happy, and I'm like, I think it was like tinged with jealousy. I'm like, that's going to be so freaking cool, and it has been really cool. I went to Culture probably the first weekend they opened, and I didn't know the previous guys running it very well. I'd been introduced to a couple of them over the years through mutual friends, but it definitely has a different feel now that you guys have taken over, and I'm super excited every time I walk through there and see Scott Stewart sitting there and Aaron Whitfield, and
I kicked Stewart out. Stewart can't go in anymore, but Whitfield, yeah, okay.
And Culture, when I retired from the previous career, my wife was like, it was an emotional day for me. The kids and the wife came to work with me for the last day, and in the evening, she's like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "I don't know." I'm like, "We got to go out and like get a drink or something." I'm like, I'm still kind of in shock, and she's like, "Why don't you go to Culture and I'll meet you there? I'm gonna get the kids to bed." And she was trying to get the kids to bed, and they had been up at 4 a.m. to make the drive into work, and so she's like, "I don't think I'm going to be able to make it." And I just sat there. I drank 2 beers, and I was at the front of the tasting room there, and Aaron Whitfield sends me a message the next day. He's like, "My wife says she might have seen you just like sitting at Culture by yourself," and I'm like, "Yes, I was." I'm like,
Sure.
It was a crazy night, and I sat there thinking about my life. I'm like, what the hell have I done? Yeah. And have I made the right choice? But yeah, it was definitely the place
What beer
to go.
did you have, Shawn? Was it the La Cerveza? Most likely.
I'm gonna say it had to be. I think that was
The Shawn Cerveza.
It's got to be 95% of the time that I get that. Although I have had MJ's blog pass, which was very good. One of your teachers' quarter, amazing speech that you gave. And what would that feel like when you were up there, toasting your teacher and making him the first community hero for Culture?
He definitely deserved it, and I was just proud to he definitely deserved it, and I was just proud to be up there saying how much fun I had that school year, and explaining what blog passes were, because we didn't actually know the whole meaning of it for the first month of school, and then I finally got the meaning of it halfway through the school year. But you can't really explain blog passes in 2 sentences, because they're more than just a class currency. They're something that you can trade with, like I was saying, something that you could buy lunch with, something that can get you out of trouble. So yeah, I was just really proud just being there for MJ. He's a really good teacher.
What is it about him as a teacher that makes him different than everybody else, and that really gets him that he gets you prepared for middle school. Because my son who just walked in the door, he had MJ, and I can't think of a better teacher that got him prepared in 6th grade to go into middle school and be prepared for that workload and the type of homework that you're going to be dealing with and schoolwork.
Yeah, he definitely helps us deal with that. But something that makes him different from the other teachers is, for one, he's the only boy teacher, which I definitely admire. The second is his voice is just so soft. Yeah, and he just has a different way of teaching. Like, he taught us ukes, guitars, how to play them. And at the start of the year, I was thinking there's no way that I could learn anything on that ukulele. And at the end of the year, I was playing Blackbird easy on the guitar.
Yeah, very well, too.
Yeah, he's definitely an interesting person. I was amazed by just like you said, he's very soft-spoken and has total control of that class. Where I'd be threatening to taser people, and probably in the first week I'd be getting called to the principal's office and be like, you can't threaten your students with tasering.
I mean, legally, you probably could, I would think.
I mean, in some school districts, depending on licensing requirements. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, definitely a unique individual, and I did not know until the night at Culture that Derek Bonet grew up with him.
Yeah, I didn't actually know that either. But at the start of the year, my mom told me, and I was like, wow, I did not know that. So, and then when we were driving to a volleyball tournament one day, I saw where he grew up with Derek, and it was like somewhere near
Torrance.
LA. Yeah, Torrance. And it was just really cool to see where he grew up and who he grew up with. And yeah, he definitely has very good control of our class. He's very respectful to us, and we definitely respect him. He's funny, and he just makes us laugh. But yeah.
Did he ever threaten to smack anybody with a ukulele?
Yeah.
Probably.
Like the business side.
I mean, I'm sure the student deserved it, right?
Not necessarily.
I mean, you can name names here.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're not listening.
First name.
So let's talk about that, Tony. I find it super interesting when you told me that you played baseball at a very high level, got into the minor leagues. Let's start from the beginning. Where you grew up, where you first started playing baseball, and how you fell in love with the game, and then somehow got roped into Solana Beach Little League for life.
Goodness, yeah. I just signed that contract for 3 years, no money. Yeah. It's been no options, no money.
It sounds like my umpiring contract.
Yeah, they're very similar.
Yeah, but with less guilt.
Yeah, at least Keegan and Brendan are getting paid, I believe, right?
I hope.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get Keegan to do it. I don't know.
Keegan, you haven't umpired yet? No.
I think he was thinking about it towards the end. He's like, how much money can I make? He's like, what can I invest this? Can I get paid in Bitcoin? NVIDIA stock? Yeah. Yeah, if he could get stock options, he would definitely be in. He'd be the first one in line.
I mean, Keegan's student of the year, right? Student of the year, right, Keegan? Man, I was so proud
Nice
of
job.
you when I saw that. Yeah.
And
Great job.
He was so humble about it. Like, barely even told his mom and I about it.
That's crazy.
We knew he was getting an award, but he comes home and he's got this like huge basket of candy, and just kind of kept it quiet. But yeah, put in the hard work. Trust me, that kid. I will be the first to admit that he did more work for school than I ever did in middle school, and he was more dedicated about it. And some hard classes, and just really put in the work and nose to the grindstone. So very proud of him.
Nice job, Keegan. So, Dad, continue your story.
Boy, I didn't even start baseball. Okay, well.
The restarter.
Yeah.
Restarting the story here.
Well, I grew up in Thousand Oaks, California. We call it TO. So everyone up there calls it TO. And baseball back then was
And this was
very
before
big.
TO.
Yeah, it was before TO.
Yeah, before he was playing football.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the place TO. Most country western movies are filmed in Thousand Oaks. My kids hate it. So if you see an old western movie, it's probably filmed in TO.
Like spaghetti westerns?
Spaghetti westerns,
Okay.
exactly.
Nice.
Very interesting. Yeah, back then, youth baseball was much different. Most of the time, my dad would bring a 6-pack on the field, and that was part of the game. And these pitch counts these days just crack me up because we are so concerned with 40, 45 pitches. You get 2 days rest. I was looking back at some of my scorebooks because my mom took every scorebook. I have scorebooks dating back to 1985. And I think when I was in the equivalent of AAA, I think I counted one game I threw 145 pitches, like in one game. I was probably 9.
I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, the kids that were on my little league teams, I'm like, they would pitch the whole game.
The whole game.
You never took them out.
You'd be crying. I'd be crying in the 3rd inning. Then I'd be laughing hysterically in the 4th. And my arm would be hurting in the 5th, but you just kept throwing.
Yeah. My dad coached probably 3/4 of the seasons that I played, screaming at me, whether I was in the outfield or playing infield at second base. And I like to tell Brendan, I was the 4th pitcher on a 3-man rotation, and my own father never put me in a game. I'm like, the kids these days, you want to pitch? We're going to get you into a game, no matter what.
Yeah.
And, never got on the mound.
That was it was way more important back then.
Yeah. Apparently.
But yeah, so played in Thousand Oaks, and then I played in high school. I was barely made my high school baseball teams. I was probably the last person picked most years. But just kept playing, kept pitching. I became a pitcher early. I was addicted to pitching from a very early age. I loved the matchups. I loved the chess piece of it, playing against the, picking your pitches against the batters. I was just very into it. Yeah.
Now, were you one of these kids that was just overwhelming with the power, or did you have control? Were you one of these guys that was able to pitch a breaking ball early on in your career and elbow be damned?
No, I never threw breaking balls, but I could hit spots really well. And one of the best things about it was I wasn't that strong, so I had to learn how to pitch. I didn't grow till I was 18 or 19, and then I started throwing really hard. But at that point, I really knew how to pitch. So it was kind of a blessing and a curse. I struggled through high school, playing baseball, but I was learning how to pitch. And then finally, when I grew and had the strength, that's when kind of everything came together for me.
So at what point in your baseball career did you know that this wasn't just going to be, okay, I'll play in high school, that there was, the possibility of going further than that?
I remember being 15 years old and barely making teams, and for some reason, I would tell my friends that I was going to play professional baseball, and I was hardly making the high school teams. And I just knew I was going to do it. And I just kept going and going, and then I didn't truly believe in myself, I'd say, until after I got drafted. I think my first spring training I showed up, and I did really well in spring training, my first spring training, and I made a pretty high-level A team, and that was the first time in my career that I think I felt, I was like, damn, I'm pretty good. And it kind of shocked me at that point, which was weird, because I spent my whole career chasing everybody else, and then for that moment, I was actually kind of ahead of a lot of people at a very high level, so it took a while.
So walk me through the draft process. I've talked to Tim Stauffer about the 2 times he was drafted.
Yep.
And at one point, he said his dad came in and told him, you just got drafted. And then he went back to bagging groceries.
Yep. Yeah, my first time I got drafted, so I was drafted twice as well. I was offered a contract 1 year as well. So the first time I was drafted by the Chicago Cubs in the 69th round, I found out 4 days later via telegraph, and nobody believed me. They just basically said, no, you weren't drafted. I said, no, I got a telegraph. I got drafted by the Cubs.
Was this like a Western Union telegraph?
It was Western Union. I still have it. And it's the funniest thing. And then the scout that drafted me calls you a couple days later. I had to convince my junior college coach that I had been drafted, which was shocking. And they offered me a very small contract. Yeah, it's a bizarre process. But then the second time I got drafted, I knew I was going to be drafted. I was heavily recruited. Once you see a lot of scouts at your games, it's pretty cool. You'll see if you pitch Saturday, maybe the Friday game, there'll be no scouts there watching your buddy pitch. And then you start warming up the next day and there's 15, 20 radar guns pointed at you and your buddy's looking at you like, how come they're all here for you? And I'm like, well, I'm pretty good at this point, you know? So you kind of know when you know that you're going to get drafted higher.
Were your teammates supportive or
Yeah.
or little jealousy maybe?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I think it was like I had great roommates, great friends in college, and it was funny. I didn't even get the top spot on my college team pitching. One of my good friends won pitcher of the year, and I still tell him how much better he was than me, right? Which is, and it's all good.
Quarter. So you like playing baseball? Does that put pressure on you, or does it just show you what's possible?
So it doesn't really put pressure on me. To be honest, I love baseball. The only thing that really pressures me that much is when I have to like get my jersey ready because I usually wait till the last day to do it, and then my dad usually has to wake up at 1 a.m. and put my clothes in the dryer, and that's really the only stressful part of it. But yeah, it's just really fun.
So the only stressful part for you of baseball is laundry.
Getting the jersey,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they misspelled your name this year.
Yep.
That was crazy.
Dellamano.
Yeah, Dellamano. Yeah.
Yeah, Dellamano. And then I got a sticker, and then I put an A instead of an O. And then
Yeah,
it
Carter
fell
had
off.
a duct taped.
I did see that.
Jersey.
I did
Yeah.
see that.
Because when you guys were like, so basically when I got my jersey, I was like, no, I don't need another one, because I was like, no, it's fine. I don't care if it's misprinted. And then this one time I lost my jersey, and I was so scared, and I went to one of the Little League games early, and then I saw Aaron Whitfield, and I was like, you know what? I think that I'll have that jersey on second thought. And then and then he was like, oh, okay. So and then the next day, I think I had my game, and I found my jersey again, and then I'm like, no, it's fine. I don't need it. And then so it went like back and forth.
Have we tracked down who misspelled your name on the jersey?
The guy that made the jerseys probably, or the guy who put it, or the guy who like typed in all the names to be printed probably. But I will find that guy and I will kill him.
Wow. Boom.
I'm kidding.
Some harsh words from Quarter
Yeah.
there.
It turns quick.
So Quarter,
turns
I've seen you play a lot of catcher position over the last few seasons. Is that your favorite position to play?
Yeah, it's my favorite position. I like it because I just have control of the whole field, and I can call pitches. I can call first and third, and I can just control my pitcher, and yeah.
And you're good.
Yeah.
You are good. I've seen that. I've seen that over the past few seasons. So when did that love of that position kick in?
Probably AAA when we had a really bad Royals team.
So bad. Epically bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were not very good, but nobody would really step up and play any positions. Nobody really asked to play any positions. They just got put in positions by coach. I really fell in love with it because most of the kids, we weren't really bonding on my team really, and we never really did. So I just, yeah, but I just liked helping my first and third baseman talk to each other before each inning, saying hi. Or I like talking to my pitcher a lot because I just like starting conversation, and I personally feel that I'm pretty good at like calming people down, like pitchers, when they're in a slump kind of. But yeah.
Yeah, Corda's a great teammate.
It seems like in Solana Beach Little League, at least, you have kids that want nothing to do with the catcher position, or you have the few guys on your team that's all they want to do is play catcher. And you seem like one of the guys that, from my experience being on, I don't think we've ever been on the same team. I've been on the same team with your brother. Well, I haven't been, but my kid has been with Leo. But just watching you prepare, you're very dedicated and focused, and you seem like one of those guys that takes it very seriously. And I feel like those are few and far between. You're lucky if you have one or two guys. I feel like Brendan was lucky this year. He loves playing catcher, but he was playing behind two all-star catchers. And so he got a few innings of work, and it was just like kind of a shock. It's like, hey, Brendan, get in there. You're playing catcher, and so he's running out to his bag, which was untouched for most of the season.
In great shape.
Yeah, trying to get in there.
Crispy.
But I mean, just watching you over the past couple seasons, you can just see the love you have for the position and the dedication that you put into it.
Yeah, like I was saying, you worded it perfectly. But like I was saying earlier, I just love talking with my first baseman, telling them which play I want to do. I like talking to the umpire sometimes. The batter, I don't really talk with that much because,
No smack talk.
Yeah.
No, not really. Well, the only talk that I've ever had talk with a batter was whenever Tucker Sherman came up to bat, and he would fist bump the umpire and me, and I was like, okay.
Did you feel like he was trying to mess with you?
Kind of. I didn't know.
Like a little power play?
Yeah,
That's a good power play.
Yeah.
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 It's a
But
power move.
yep.
And what would you do then? Would you call for like an up and in pitch on him?
Yeah. Well,
We would usually do first. Rarely we did first pitch curveball, but usually on Tucker my dad would sometimes call first pitch curveball. But he was a really good hitter, and when I was playing catcher once, it was a really important time of the game, and we and then we let a home run off of him, and he hit it, and I was like, well, that's game because they had runners on third and they had one more run to score, and it was 2 outs, and I just didn't think that we could do it because it was second batter, and he ended up. I think that the pitch went by, right? The pitch went by me in the dirt, and then he scored, and
it was a tough game.
Yeah, if I saw Tucker Sherman coming up and he was fist bumping me, whether it was a power play or not, I might call for the intentional walk. Just
put that hand out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Send him down to first.
And his name's Tucker. I mean, you gotta watch out.
yeah.
Tucker Sherman.
Yeah,
He's good. He had a great year.
Yeah, he was a good player, and sad to see him moving on from Solana Beach Little League. All right, I'm going to switch back to your dad. You get to the minor leagues. What was the biggest thing that you didn't expect going from college to the minors?
I think once you get to professional baseball, everybody's very strong and very good. And you can't throw a fastball by anyone. Your curveball will not break enough to get past them. So you have to just raise your game up a ton. So the level of baseball is fantastic, and you play every single day, so you grow. By the end of their first season, you're a completely different player than you were before you started. And it's funny, like I have a hard time when people say that they are experts in baseball or advanced baseball knowledge. I can't see you having that until you play professional baseball. Until you play every day for 140 days in a row for multiple seasons, that's when you see everything. And I only did it for 3 years. Someone like Tim Stoffer, you can imagine he's seen everything, like every baseball scenario possible. So, for that reason, it was pretty special.
So what's your favorite memory from playing in the minors?
Oh goodness.
Is there somebody that went on to have an amazing career, and you're like, I own that guy in the minors?
How about that one guy who was like who like was who just went to church a lot and something, and he
Oh,
bragged about it. And
R.A. Dickey. Yeah, I mean, so I played a lot with R.A. Dickey. He was on my staff for a good year. But yeah, I think probably the moment where I realized professional baseball is a whole different game is when I faced Adrian Beltre a handful of times back at the old Vero Beach. So you hear a lot about a handful of players when you're in the minor leagues, like guys that are way better, just shining. Like Vladimir Guerrero, the first one back then, was doing really well. Andrew Jones was one of the stars. But I remember my first time facing Adrian Beltre. I was very nervous and excited. And my first pitch, I threw a great curveball. So my curveball was breaking pretty well, and I kind of stood him up. So when you stand someone up in the box, like when they straighten up, then they go back, that's kind of like that you fooled them a bit, right? They're a little bit overwhelmed by that pitch. So I was so proud of myself. I was like, man, I just stood up Adrian Beltre, right? So I said, man, I'm going to come back to that pitch, and that's how I'm going to get him out. So I got ahead of him 1-2. He fouled off a couple more pitches, and I said, okay, I'm going to go back to the curveball because I knew I had a better curveball to strike him out with. So I get my wind up, throw the curveball, probably one of the best curveballs of my life, and he just hits it off the left field wall, the top of the wall. It was the easiest triple I've ever seen someone hit. And he's standing on third base, taking off his batting gloves, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, how did that just happen? And then I realized, I said, wow, he set me up. So I was so used to setting up batters my whole career, right, by doing certain pitches, but he set me up by making me feel like he couldn't handle my curveball that first pitch.
So he saw a pitch that he liked and didn't swing at, and he's like, I want to see that again.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to act like this pitch is
Yeah.
really tough.
Yeah.
And then he's going to get very confident with
Yeah.
it, and then he's going to throw it again. I'm going to hit it off the wall. And that's what he did, and it was very easy for him. It was very easy for him to do that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. And I just, I think his next time up, I think I beat him his next time up. Like, I think I threw a nice sinker that he chopped off the plate. The ball went up about 20 feet in the air. My third baseman's just camped under it. I'm just waiting for the ball to come down, and he almost got a double out of it. I mean, he's so fast. So I think he got a single off that. But I kind of beat him on that pitch. Like, I could tell I beat him. So I think just some of the, aside from all the other stories in the minor leagues, that there's many fun stories with friends, hanging out in weird towns, late nights. But I think from a baseball perspective, I'll never forget facing Beltre a handful of times. So,
What was the coolest team mascot that you ever played
good
for?
Lord. I played for the Sand Gnats. So I played in the stadium where the Bananas play now.
Okay.
So that's neat. That's a beautiful stadium. But before that, they were the Sand Gnats, Savannah Sand Gnats. So probably them. I think that was the coolest name.
Okay, Quarter, I got some random questions that I usually like to throw into an interview. What do you think of Stanley Kubrick faking the moon landings?
like what?
What
Do you think it's real or not?
Yeah.
So do you think we
do
actually?
you think we went to the moon in the 1960s?
Or do you think it was fake?
Yeah, I think we did because in the movie that we watched, I forget what it was called, but they did set up a whole scene and everything in this massive storage garage, and they only let a few people know, and they were actually gonna act it out. And it was live on air, and they were saying how it looked the exact same from both perspectives. They had the camera on the moon, and they had the camera in the warehouse. And they said how it looked the exact same on both sides. And then in the movie, there was a cat that was going on the top part of like the railing. There was like a railing above the set. So there was a cat that was going on it. And the cat was so close to jumping down, and then the cat jumped down, and then everybody was like still for a few seconds, and then they looked at the on air, and then they looked at the live, and on the live, the cat wasn't on it. So I don't know if they were just doing that to trick more people into it, or if that's actually how it went down, kind of. I don't know if the cat actually went into the movie set, but
I feel like you're leaning more conspiracy here.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen, I think it's 5 countries have sent lunar probes that have photographed the Apollo 11 landing site, and some have better resolution than others. But all of them show something in the exact same spot, and you can line it up with the different craters and things. So I tend to think that we went there, and I base that upon the fact that Buzz Aldrin, the second man on the moon, who I think is in his 80s. I think he's still with us. I think he's the last one from Apollo 11 that's still alive. But he has been questioned several times, and there was one time that he got into a fist fight with a guy that was accusing him of faking the moon landing. And as like a 70-something-year-old man just started throwing punches at this punk who was trying to call him out on this.
Yeah, I'd believe Buzz.
Yeah.
The guy seems tough.
With a guy, if you've got a name like Buzz,
Yeah.
you got to be truthful.
Yeah.
All right. What about flat Earth? Are we living on a sphere, or is the world actually flat?
I don't know, because when I fly on a plane, it definitely looks flat, but then when they take photographs from space, it looks like a sphere. But
Oh, it's round. Could be round and flat like a pizza.
yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many miles the Earth is, but like the distance from one end to the all around the Earth.
24,000.
Yeah, about
Yeah,
24,000 miles.
24,000. But I don't know, just like the eye just can't see when it when it starts to actually curve, for one, because that would be crazy, and for two, because if you could actually see that, then everybody would be talking about it. Like, can you, like, when you're in the airplane, like, if you're high up, could you see the Earth curve? Is that how high you were, or were you closer to the ground where you couldn't see it? But yeah.
I've never seen the curvature of the Earth from an airplane, but I hear if you go higher, you can start to see it.
Yeah.
You just got your new electric bike that you are in love with. Would you bet your electric bike that the Earth is round?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Well, that's no joke.
My wife has seen you on your electric bike. I'm just going to say,
Yeah.
you got to watch out. There's a lot of safety moms in Solana Beach. So you always want to make sure you're riding on your best behavior so that you don't have people like my wife calling your mom or dad.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you did anything. I'm bro to bro. I'm giving you like a heads up. Wouldn't you say that's a good idea, Keegan?
Yeah, very good idea.
Yeah. You don't want to get caught by safety mom.
Keegan, you have an electric bike, right? Yeah.
Hasn't been able to ride. Yeah, he's ridden it a few places. He's slowly being allowed out into the wild.
And I've ridden it more than you.
You've ridden it more than me. That's true. I have ridden it to Culture though,
Yeah.
a few times.
I've seen you on it before.
I have to hike up that seat though. So we got the electric bikes, and this is one of the things that really makes me mad about the electric bikes, because I've seen Corey Falcon.
Corey Falcon.
I was blanking on her last name there for a second. I wanted to give her credit. She was like, riding the kids to school early on, and I'm like, God, that looks so cool. And there's a weight limit on them, and my kids are growing, and
As are you.
yeah, well, hopefully, I was just gonna say, hopefully, I'm not growing too much. I'm at a slower rate, hopefully, but we're right at. If you put me on there and you put one of the kids on there, we are right at the limit of the weight, and I think the brakes will stop us. But yeah, man, I would have loved, and Todd Johnson, another one who was riding his kids around early on, and I'm like, man, it looks so cool. But then you not as safe as a car, so you don't want to take chances.
Well, Well, how I like to think it when you're riding in the street with an e-bike, how the cars are actually the enemy, not the e-bike, but you want to be friends with the enemy.
Oh, okay.
Is it because of the greenhouse gases?
Yeah.
No, I think it's just because they're crazy.
Yeah, because people are on their phones and they're texting and they're not paying attention and they're picking up their kids and stressing about getting them to soccer on time.
Yeah.
Have you seen Mrs. Moran driving around town in her car? Is there any critiquing you have of her?
Oh, I'm sure there's critiquing. I have been on a bike ride with my wife back in the day before we had kids, where I've had to tell her, I'm like, you cannot, and this is out in Carmel Valley before it was all built out. And so we would take our road bikes and go on rides. And I am nothing if not a rule follower. So we could be coming up on a light where there's no cars and, it's a red light. I will stop every single time and, put my foot down or just balance in place. She just rides on
right
through.
through.
And she's like, there's nobody around. And I go, okay, so when you get run over, I will tell your mother.
Dad, Mom's never done that.
Yo, she totally has done that. She totally has done that. And
This is shocking.
she
This
will
is really
she will
shocking.
totally admit this too.
We're gonna go downstairs and ask her.
Speaking
This is her.
speak of the devil, she's here.
That's a little shorter than her.
Can you get the door for mom?
Okay.
That might be. Nope.
That's totally her. Totally her. We're
She
gonna
heard you.
we're gonna
She
get her on
heard
the
you.
microphone here.
Dad commits traffic
Safety
violations.
mom.
Hey,
Safety mom, come here. We got a question for you.
Gosh, I'm so
No.
I haven't sweated yet.
We're talking about you right now. We have a
so
question.
nervous.
Come here.
Dad's caused too many traffic
Cordy, you're in
violations.
big trouble.
Here, put these on for a second, Heather.
She's cracking her knuckles, folks.
Here, hold on. Put them on.
Hi, Heather.
You might have to take your hat off, dear.
How are you?
Okay. Sit down for 1 second.
It's good to see you.
We have a biking question.
Okay.
Have you ever been yelled at by someone telling you to get a lesson?
No.
Oh, not true. Not true.
Get a lesson for what?
When you were riding on the side of the road, did somebody in a truck ever yell at you, take a lesson?
I don't think I remember something
That's
like
a
that.
great put
And did you ever ride through a red light when they were building up Carmel Valley when we were on a ride together and there was no traffic around?
I don't remember anything like that.
Have you ever broken any bicycle safety laws, Heather? Yes. True or false?
Always.
She will deny it, but I will tell you that it is true.
No,
But
Dad, you commit
but-
5 traffic violations every time.
so you can make mistakes in the past and still be safety mom. All right, so we've gotten off the rails here, Quarter.
Well, I have another story to tell.
Okay, let's hear it.
So, one time, my dad and I were going we were going to home from Costco, and to get onto the freeway, it's the Costco right next to the Nike outlet, and
In Carlsbad?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
In order to get on the freeway, there was a little light that you had to go through, and it was a pretty busy light because it was the light that was on the on and off ramp. I
Okay.
mean the off ramp.
I know where this is going.
Oh, I watched it happen. I watched him.
This is a different story, Heather.
Yeah.
I remember this story because I was out in the car.
So we were going through that light, and I was looking to the left, and I saw that the light was green, and I'm pretty sure that my dad did too for some reason. So and then the real light was red, but the one to the left was green. So he just ran straight through the red light, and and there was a car going straight in front of him. And he honked at him, and my dad honked at the other guy that was going straight in front of him, and he was like, "What are you doing? What was that guy doing?" And then I'm like, "Dad, you just ran a red light. Like, you literally stopped for a few seconds, and then you ran it. Like,
Yeah. It's like the fifth dimension.
yeah."
It was driving vertigo.
I mean, with the way they have lights sometimes,
They stack them.
Yeah.
You can't tell.
like when you're coming towards your guy's house from Skyline, you could kind of zone out a little bit as you're passing under the 5 and you're looking and you're like, oh, the light's red. And then you realize, oh, no, that's the second light. And, this one is green.
And
so
my
I
car
can
should
go.
be doing that for me at this point. I mean, why am I watching lights? It's just...
That's the thing I love about the full self-driving. Although my buddy that was at my birthday party from the ATF, he told me that he has the full self-driving on his Model 3, and him and his whole family were at a red light, and all of a sudden the car
just took off.
the car just started going, and luckily there was no other cars around.
Maximum overdrive. Yeah.
But the Model 3 just said, "Hey, I'm tired of waiting here. Let's go."
Got sick of the tariffs.
I
took off. Just took off.
I thought the tariffs were a bad idea.
I think the tariffs are a bad idea.
Yes, they are.
I've seen my retirement fund plunging due
I've
to
watched
tariffs.
I
my
think
Canadian grains increasing, the multi-buy.
you should probably put, if I had one country to put tariffs on, it would not be China. It would probably be the island with all the penguins on it. But
Antarctica?
No. There was one island that Trump put tariffs on that was only inhabited by penguins.
Well, penguins do cause a lot of economic turmoil, along with making a big mess.
Yeah.
But I would love to be able to travel just on my stomach. My stomach is growing bigger, but I would love to be able to use it as a mode of transportation and just nose first, just skiing down Loma Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you spend most of your life on Loma Santa Fe?
Goodness.
Well,
What percentage
that's
at this point?
that's really the only street that
That's
I
the only
need.
street we know. Yeah.
All the other stuff, the only 2 streets that I really know where they are VMO Cumbres,
Our street.
Loma Santa Fe, and what was the other one? I forget.
The freeway.
Yeah,
You pronounce
the freeway.
Loma Santa Fe very nicely, Quarter. Say that one more time.
Loma Santa Fe.
Yeah, you great enunciation.
I feel like if I go to Via de la Valle,
Ooh, another strong enunciation on that. Yeah.
it feels like I'm almost on an exotic trip.
Well, you're cheating.
Yeah.
You're cheating on Loma Santa Fe
Yeah,
at that point.
but when I'm Via Mill Cumbres, just going up it just feels like a street that I know really well because I've explored every nook and cranny of it. But to be honest, when I really think that I know all of it, there's one more street that I still have yet to explore, there's some surprises in our neighborhood.
Like
there's
what?
What?
Yeah, do
Yeah,
tell.
Like what's a surprise?
So
I'd
there's
love to hear
there's
the
this-
surprises here.
There's this one part that you could branch off of our street, and it's a dirt path, and then it goes straight onto the golf course.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then there's also a path I've yet to know where it leads because when my dad and my brother went exploring they didn't go with me, so I didn't really know where that went either. But that's just across the street from the path that leads down to the golf course.
Did you guys, during COVID, did you take advantage of being that close to the golf course and
Yes.
play golf?
Yes. Well, we would usually just go on family walks there.
Yeah.
And we would go down there, pick some lavender, I'm pretty sure, because what's the other thing? But we just they had this other plant, I'm forgetting the name of it, but
Honeysuckle,
no,
roses,
no,
broccoli.
no,
Okay, that's all I got right now.
yeah, but
Rosemary.
yeah, but
Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Oh no. Okay, sorry. That's a song from the 60s, 70s. 63. Yeah. 63.
and
Your dad's good at that.
yeah.
We could turn this this podcast into just like singing some random songs and see if he knows the year.
Yeah. We explored a lot in the neighborhood, pretty much as much as we can. But I would like to introduce my brother Leo right now. Say hi. Hello. He wanted.
That's the applause button.
He wanted to just talk a little bit on here, and I'm just gonna ask you a question. Like, how do you feel about soccer, and why do you like being goalie so much? Because my brother used to play for Surf, but he didn't really like it that much, so he just transferred to attack, and he's been playing the goalie the whole time, and he's been loving it.
Was it because of the coaches? I mean, I want to hear the dirt.
So from what I understand, I think it was his coaches, but I don't really know that much. But he just wanted to play in a little bit more laid back league. But he hates any position but goalie. And I would just like to ask him, like, why do you like goalie so much?
I think I like it because the whole team kind of relies on me.
Yeah.
And basically, if I succeed, then I could win it.
Yeah, just get
my
right
team.
up on that mic there, Leo.
I could
There you
win
go.
it for my team, or if I don't succeed, I could actually lose it for my team, which is the bad part, though.
Well, it's not all about you, you know, like, well, I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying, like, if you lose, it's not your fault, to be honest. There's other players in the field too, but do you also like it because you can kind of control where they go, like shift left to upfield, downfield?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Leo, the only question I have you ever done like a Dikembe Mutombo and like blocked a shot and just like start wagging your finger at them?
No.
No?
No, I
You just
don't. I
stay
don't do that
you just
stuff.
stay humble?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's really humble.
Yeah, I mean, if I had like a diving stop and just knocked it away, I would get up and just start wagging the finger.
Yeah, he has some pretty good saves, but
Oh, I bet he has.
Yeah, he had this one play in Surf where he assisted
And Quarter,
a shot,
I'm just gonna let you take over the show here. Okay.
where he actually assisted a shot. He punted it all the way downfield, and the guy and he assisted it, and it was just a really good punt. But yeah, I didn't actually get to see it. I was at home, but yeah.
Leo, have you ever seen like the other keeper come off their line and you're just like screaming for your teammates to just boot one over his head and try and bounce it into the goal?
No.
No?
No. Usually, I just don't say that much. I work on the build out, which is just starting a new play and getting it more up the field, but I never really tell them where to shoot it or when to shoot it.
Do you feel like you have a lot of time to yourself? You know, if you have a good team and they're keeping it on the attacking end, you know, what do you do while you're, you know, basically waiting at the other end of the field?
I just kind of sometimes I sing songs in my head, but it's
What's your
pretty-
favorite song to sing when you're doing that?
I don't really know.
Is it like Kendrick Lamar?
No. Just
No? Okay.
Various.
Yeah, my brother doesn't really like the rap songs. He likes
We talking like Imagine Dragons here? Or?
he used to like them, but he likes Louis Armstrong now.
Oh,
Yeah,
Some
Yeah,
classics.
those songs are probably the ones that I would sing
so
just to keep calm. And
so we're talking like Louis Armstrong, like the trumpet player, right?
yeah,
Okay. You want to give us some like demos here?
like singing.
Yeah.
No.
No? Okay.
Well, what's your favorite song by him? Like Livy and Rose?
Yeah, Livia and Rose.
Well, and then it's Dream a Little Dream of Me, I'm guessing.
Probably Hello Dolly,
Yep.
the remake of the original.
So how did you get into that type of music?
I have a friend who plays piano, and he recently got into trumpet too. And I thought,
Okay.
and I heard him playing trumpet one time, and I was like, "Ooh, I like that." And then I started listening to trumpet, and I found Louis Armstrong, and now he's probably my favorite artist.
Very cool. I'm digging that. I did not expect to hear that on the show here. So, Leo, you've been on. We've been on the same baseball team not this past season, but the season before. How instrumental was my choice of songs to the overall, success of the team?
I think it got us pumped up.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's what I was thinking too. I was told by some of the moms that, I was just like a negative net influence on the team. But those are moms, they're always going to say stuff. That was a fun season with the Royals, and quite the run that we had. You were number 11, known as Sticks.
Yes.
And
I didn't know about this.
Did you have number 11 this season too?
No. I think I don't even know what number I had.
I just recall that during the playoffs and probably the last couple of games of the season, you started hitting like at a phenomenal pace.
Yeah.
And were instrumental in our run through the playoffs. That was, we came like just short of winning the championship. If I had told you at the beginning of the season that we'd be in the championship, what would you have thought?
No way.
You would have thought I was on drugs or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you were like high.
Leo, is there any other drugs you know except for being high? No.
You guys ever hear of DARE?
No.
So DARE was a program back in the 80s, Dare to Say No to Drugs. So the president of the United States was Ronald Reagan, and his wife...
Wasn't there a board game about Dare?
I don't know if there was a board game.
My dad told me all about this. It's horrible.
So Nancy Reagan, the first lady of the United States from 1981 to 1989, had a thing that was just say no. And, they had law enforcement would come around, and it was called DARE, Drug Abuse Resistance Education, if I recall correctly. And these are the law enforcement guys that I would say now didn't really want to be out in the field fighting crime so much. So they would go to the schools and educate kids on the dangers of drugs, which is a very noble calling and necessary role. I took a more hands-on role. Why talk to kids when you can tackle a drug dealer? Neither here nor there. Anyway, DARE, they would. I don't even know where I'm going with this. Getting totally off. You said I was high. So DARE was something that they, you just tried to say no to drugs if people offered them to you. So.
Yeah.
So maybe the next time you're playing goalie, just say no. Just say no to people taking shots on you and getting goals, and always say no to drugs.
So Leo,
Leo's like, why did I come on the show?
we were talking about this earlier. Do you believe in a flat Earth? Like, do you believe that the Earth is flat?
No, definitely not.
Are you a fan of any conspiracy theories?
Yeah.
Would a conspiracy theory be like Loch Ness?
Yeah, Loch Ness. Is it a Russian surveillance submarine that's actually operating in a Scottish lake? Did we land on the moon? Did the U.S. government or the mafia kill President Kennedy? Anything?
Not that I can think of right now.
You're not thinking about these things when you're playing goalie?
I think about a lot of things when I'm playing goalie, but not like conspiracy theories.
Okay, so besides Louis Armstrong, what are you thinking about when you're playing goalie?
Maybe just my day. Like, it's boring like 95% of the time on the field, so kind of just thinking about what I could have and couldn't have done throughout the day.
Are you thinking about like business ideas for your dad, how he can make culture better?
No.
Let me tell you, I've got some ideas about culture. Let me run this past you guys as the future of culture. What do you think about making culture the premier WNBA bar in San Diego?
Like a courtside bar, but for basketball?
No, just kind of like, supporting. I'm just going to throw a team out there. The New York Liberty, 8-0, undefeated. Only other team undefeated is the Lynx.
Um,
Do you guys follow the WNBA?
no.
No. Have you heard of it?
Yeah,
I've
we
heard
have.
of the NBA.
Yeah,
I've
definitely.
won WNBA, but I know like 3 teams in it.
Okay. Tell me 3 teams in the WNBA.
Yeah. So the 2 that you just said,
Okay.
Lynx and Liberty.
I will spot you the Lynx and the Liberty. Give me one more.
I don't even know now that I'm thinking about it. Portland. Who drafted Caitlin Clark?
Ooh.
No, your brother was saying
I think that those were the Royals. I don't know. Wait, no. The
she plays in
Oilers.
Indiana. The team name is anybody?
Just
Bueller,
saying out random names.
Fry.
I know.
Oh, is there one called Sky?
There is the Chicago Sky. Very good.
Yay.
Very good. We got 3.
Can
And Caitlin Clark playing for the Indiana Fever.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Fever.
No, so I would really like to make Culture the preeminent spot in North County, at least, for New York Knicks basketball. I'm not sure your dad wants to go that direction, though.
Oh, Lakers.
I will quote him as saying, "Nothing says local culture like a New York Knicks bar." And they also gave me a hard time because I was there for Game 6, waiting patiently, and then my family dragged me out of there, and we didn't even stay for Game 6. And I was getting messages, "Hey, the game's on." You know? But ultimately, a losing effort by the New York Knicks. But they'll be back next year.
Yeah.
Can I I'm sorry to change topic, but is it okay if I show you
Sorry,
something?
the WNBA talk wasn't captivating you?
Well, it was definitely interesting, but
I support the
What?
changing of topic. Too.
Okay, go ahead, Quarter. Sorry.
But my brother has this really cool thing that he can do where I can name any year and he can actually say something that happened in that year or close to that year in like the 1800s. So let's say, I don't know, 1850s. Like what happened in the 1850s? Do you remember anything?
What are you talking about? I do it for the 1900s.
Okay. 1950s. What happened in the 1950s?
1950s. Well,
I'm sorry.
the
Let me see.
Korean War,
And what year was that?
1949 to 1953.
Okay.
53 or 2.
And
Vietnamese War,
and what years were those?
1955 to 1975.
Ooh, very good.
So
1980. What happened in
yeah,
1980?
what happened in 1980?
Uh,
All the 80s, 80.
Jimmy Carter's 3rd year. 1980.
You guys have to take a picture. The picture's starting.
Oh, okay.
Of the what?
All right. So I'm being told that we have to go outside for a photo. Should we wrap this up, guys?
Yeah.
We have been doing it for an hour and 10 minutes, which
Yeah.
makes this the longest episode I've done. So I want to thank all the Dellamanos that came on the show here, and we will have them all back on again soon, and we will quiz Leo on everything that has happened in the 1900s. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for listening. This is the Shawn Moran Podcast.
Bye-bye.
Bye.